So today was another quite a large day. Um, probably with I think we did about 110 kilometers and about 1700 meters of climbing, and it was hot all day. It was hot all day. Sun didn't really start easing up until about 6 o'clock, and we got to camp at about 7:30. And there was another huge hill coming into town, heading up the last little bit before we got to the campsite. So it was a pretty big day, and Louisa and I are both feeling pretty tired after making it and kind of reevaluating our life choices after another pretty hard day. We left the farm this morning, Carlo's place. I was able to gift him my old mocha pot that I wasn't going to need anymore now that I've got my new one. And he was happy to accept that, and maybe some of the farm volunteers will use that in the future. So that was kind of nice that hopefully someone can use that and it's not just going into the bin. We left probably around 10, maybe a little bit after, which was a big error because the sun was very hot at that point already. Pretty much from 9 a.m. It's quite hot, so we really need to start getting started a bit earlier. But that's probably not going to happen, to be honest. So, the day pretty much started with us going up quite a large hill, and it kind of continued like that for a while. Like there was quite a lot of gravel and like kind of almost single track, not really, but a lot of gravel today, which was really fun and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it would be really a lot nicer to do it on a bike without 30 kilos of luggage on it. And Louisa's, she's got kind of like slick road tires. They're quite big. They're probably 45 or 50 mil, so not too dissimilar to mine. But yeah, they don't have much tread on them, so she struggles a bit on the gravel and the rocky sections. And today was a lot of that. It was probably at least 60k of gravel, maybe a bit more. And a lot of it had some pretty big hills. Had to get off and push a couple of times because it was just so steep. And yeah, like around midday, we had just climbed quite a big hill in the sun, and we were both kind of stuffed, and we ended up sitting in this little town, and it had a beautiful courtyard with a nice view, and there was a nice little cafe, so we had an extra espresso each and a slice of pizza, which is really great. Italy is, I can see why people like it here. Like it's got amazing coffee, amazing food culture. People are friendly. It's a nice place for sure. I really like it. The heat is just kind of unbearable at this time of the year, I think. So we had an espresso for lunch, and then we continued, and then it was another really steep hill straight after that, basically. And we kept going for a couple of hours, and there was more gravel and single track, and we were both pretty stuffed, and we actually ended up stopping again around the 60k mark, because we arrived in another really beautiful town, and there was like quite a large old castle, and inside the castle there was a lot of little shops and gelaterias and cafes and stuff, and hundreds of people. So we went in there, and we had an ice cream at my request, and sat on the steps for a while and watched people, and I made a comment that I wasn't sure if because we were sitting on these steps, it was kind of like we were in an amphitheater almost, and I wasn't sure if we were the ones watching the people or if they were the ones watching us. And I guess it didn't really matter. It was nice just to sit for a while, and there was a guy playing violin, and it all seemed very European and cultured. So it was cool to be part of that experience. Um, and then we thought, oh, there's only another 50 kilometers until the next town, which is Siena, which is where I am now. And so we thought that won't be too tough. We'll be able to smash that out in a few hours probably. And yeah, pretty much as soon as we started, there was straight on to. I mean, there was a massive downhill, which was incredible, and that was really fun. And there was amazing views of all of the landscapes and the orchards, sorry, um, surrounding that town with the castle we had just descended from, and that was really cool. And then it was back onto the gravel roads and the ups and the downs and the twists and turns, and it was tough. Like in the sun, it was pretty tough. Really, like I said, I really enjoyed the gravel riding, and it makes me want to do more of it. But on a bike with less weight would be a bit more fun, ideally. And yeah, around like 4 o'clock we um, stopped again because Louisa needed some like another gas canister for her stove. So we made a bit of a detour to Decathlon, and she went inside to get the gas, and I ate the last of my snacks that I had been carrying, and it was getting pretty low on food at this point, and I had pretty much no water left, and I was just stuffed. I didn't really want to go any further. I was just feeling really cooked. But we did go a bit further. We went another, I think, 25k or so after that, before we got to this town of Siena, and then up that last big hill, as I said, and into the camp, and we checked in at reception, and I just felt like a sweaty, cooked mess as I was talking to the receptionist, but she was very polite about it. So we both straight away went and had showers, and well, after we set up the tents, went and had showers, and then we went and had a couple of beers and some pizza at the restaurant, which is part of the campsite here. So that was really nice, and that was probably my first authentic Italian pizza here. So it was good. It was good. Yeah, what can I say? Italians know how to make pizza. Look forward to having some more. I've been having a lot the last couple of days for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and yeah, I'm gonna be having some more, I think, before I leave Italy. That and espresso. um, what else? So today I was listening again to another episode of Bikes or Death, and this was like Louisa and I don't really talk too much when we're riding. At some points there was maybe 500 meters between us, so we ride at similar paces, but I guess neither of us really feel the need to be sticking right next to each other or chatting much when we're riding. Personally, I would like to chat a bit more, but that's not her vibe, I think. So that's fine. It's still nice to have some company when we're stopping, I guess. So I was listening to my podcast again, and this was an episode today from the host who actually had done an individual time trial of his own route that he had mapped, that people race on every year, but he actually hadn't ridden it himself. So he was challenged by someone to ride it, and he recorded himself riding it in this podcast. And it was quite interesting because it's a 400-mile race, which is about 700 kilometers or so. He did it in 3 days, and he didn't bring any sleeping gear or much food really at all, and not much clothes either. And he was kind of expecting to just push through the first like 2 days and not really sleep much, and um, resupply whenever he found a shop or something. But turns out a lot of the shops were closed, and he didn't bring enough clothes, and it was freezing cold. And like after the first day where he rode like 150 miles, which is like 220 kilometers or something, he basically just cooked himself, and he couldn't really. He just ran out of energy, and the next couple of days he did way less than he expected. And it was just interesting listening to his experience and the whole thing, because you can kind of listen like throughout the podcast as he's like progressing through the event, that his like mental capacity is just dropping, and he's like becoming slower, and how he's like talking to people, and how his like mental processes are working, and as sleep deprivation kicks in. So yeah, it was kind of interesting listening to this and reflecting on potentially doing an event like this myself in the future, and trying to learn some lessons from his experiences. And it's a little bit like intimidating listening to it and thinking, of maybe riding for 24 hours straight potentially, and dealing with sleep deprivation, which is something I've never really. I mean, I'm good at staying awake, but I'm not really good at getting up. So maybe it's something I will be alright at, if as long as I don't fall asleep. Something to be mindful of and look forward to, I guess. Tomorrow I really want to have an easier day. Today was pretty cooked, and the day was before that as well. So hopefully we can do a few less kilometers and a few less meters of climbing, and maybe start a bit earlier and try and avoid some of that sun. So yeah, we'll see what happens. My joking this morning about only doing 60 kilometers obviously went completely out the window. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.